Yeah, maternal pelvis here. As we said last time, you look at the fetal skull. This is going to make sense if you pass through the fetal skull. It's so much intertwined. So it has simply 4 bones. So we have the sacrum, we have the coccyx, and we have 2 innominate bones. So 2 on this either side. So the innominate bone has the ilium, the ischium, and the pubis. So you can look here. We have 4 bones, as we've said. We have the ilia, we have the ischium, and then we have the pubis. Here we have the sacrum up to this point, and then we have the coccyx here. So those are the parts of the pelvis, not anatomically, but obstetrically. So here, anatomically, you can see where they meet and how they form the hip joint. So you see the ilium, as we've said, you see the ischium, you see the ischiotuberous, this is where we sit on. This is the prominence is where we sit on, and then we have the pubis here. So the maternal pelvis anatomically divided into a false pelvis and a true pelvis. So you need to think of false and true. That's it, 2 divisions, and that's enough. But then how can you know this the false and this the true pelvis? So the landmarks on the brim of the pelvis, we have the pelvic brim is the boundary that gives us the division between the false and the true. So when you see here, this is the sacropromontory here. So you can see the midpoint of the S1, the sacral bone of S1 here. It goes to the line, you draw the line joining from this point, the midpoint of the sacral promontory here to the ala of the sacrum, and then it comes and joins the point of the sacroiliac joint here, and then you come to the arcuate line here, and then there is the eminence here, the pubic the pectinal eminence or the pectinate line, and then we have the tuberosity and we have the symphysis pubis. So all these points, you go to the left and to the right side, they meet. These are the landmarks of the pelvic brim. This is essentially what makes the demarcation between the false pelvis above and the true pelvis below. Then, as we've said, you look at this point here, as we've said, so we have 9 points that you can speak about. The sacropromontory, we have the sacroala or the ala of the sacrum. We've said the sacroiliac joint, which is the synovial type of joint. And then we, number 6 here, we have the, and then we have the symphysis pubis here. Yeah, you can also look at that from there. And then the pubic crest is number 2 here. And then we have the pubic tubercle, number 3 here. And then number 4, we have the pectinal line, as we said earlier. And then the sacroiliac articulation. And then we have the anterior border of the ala of the sacrum. And all this we've said. So you look at this, and then the area above this brim, this is the pelvic brim, is called the false pelvis. So the true pelvis now is below. It's shallow in front. So in front here, when you look at this line, so it's just 4 centimeters in front here. From here to here is 4 centimeters. And then when you look at the posteriorly from the sacrum to the end of the coccyx, the tip of the coccyx is 11.5 centimeters. That's very Very, very important and crucial for us. Then we have the inlet. The inlet is the brim of the pelvis that we've seen. The circumference of the inlet is formed by the bony landmarks that we've said. The shape of it is gynecoid. We're going to see the differences here. You can look at them here. So we have the gynecoid. The percentage in population in female is 50%. And then we have the antroid. You see here the inlet is called gynecoid. It's called gynecoid. It's oval. You can see here. The inlet here is oval. It's oval here. And then the antroid is mostly the male type. Is heart shape. The subpubic ankle, we want to look at it, is below 90. And here is 90. And then we have the ape like here. And then which is called anthropoid. And then we have platypeloid pelvis. It's very high yield. Then you look at also the projecting of the ischiospine, very high yield, is non-projectile to they are not inverted. They're not projecting into the cavity of the pelvis. And then the projecting ischiospines, they are present. We have narrow subpubic ankle, and then we have wide subpubic ankle. And then above everything, we have something called the Anchovy Inclination. You can measure it from here up or from up down. So when you look it from the sacrum point of view, it's 135. And then from down here is 55 degrees. And that's very important. When you are in erect position, you just be tilted in a way that is inclination ankle. And then when you speak about high inclination, there is a delay in engagement. It favors occipital posterior position. There's difficulty in descent of the head. And then finally, let us speak about the diameters. Now, when you do a vaginal examination, as you can see here, it's a sterile procedure done in obstetrics using the index finger and the middle finger. Usually, you realize that you can feel the sacropromontory. So we have the anteroposterior diameters, and then we have the transverse diameters. So on the anteroposterior diameters, we have what we call the diagonal conjugate. This is the one that you feel during vaginal examination. It's 12 centimeters. And then we have anteroposterior. This is true anatomical. Is this one, the diagonal conjugate, is just from below here. When you do the V, this is the vagina opening and all through, you do it to the sacropromontory. So it's 12 centimeters. But then we have the true conjugate from the topmost part of the symphysis pubis, we said, which is 4 centimeters, to the sacropromontory is 11 centimeters, so minus 1.2 centimeters. And then this one you minus 1.5 centimeters from there. So you get the obstetric conjugate, the shortest anteroposterior diameters that we have. Then we have the transverse diameters, the distance between the two farthest points of the pelvic brim. Then we have, it's always 13 centimeters. And then oblique diameter, we have the right and the left, measures 12 centimeters. Then we can speak something about the sacro or the sacrocotyloid diameter, 9.5 centimeters, the distance between the midpoint of the sacropromontory to iliopubic eminence. Then the cavities, you speak about we have spoken about the inlet. Now we in the cavity, mid cavity or through the inlet as we go deep. Diameters anteroposterior is 12, transverse is 12. So the most important thing they are all the same. And then we have the most important thing you can speak about is internal rotation of the fetal head that occurs there. The diameter of the parietal diameter of the fetal skull is at this point during that rotation, and is the beginning of the forward curve of the pelvic axis, with the point of deep transverse arrest, and then it marks the point of external os of the cervix. The section of the head is 0 at this point, and interspinous diameter is 10 centimeters at that point. So the outlet is usually diamond shape. So you can look at it here from below. Transverse diameter is 11 centimeters, anterior-posterior diameter is 11.5 centimeters. Then something small about subpubic ankle that we've spoken about. It should be roughly, we say 90, but normally it measures 85 centimeters. Then the waist space of Morris is the space that is 1 centimeters below the head, where the head of the baby can just fit. So I think this one now correlates well when we shall put them together between the maternal pelvis and the fetal head. Now, when you go through the lectures, the two of them, we're going to marry them to as we see the process of labor. And we see how the baby gets through the diameters in relation to the fetal skull and the maternal pelvic. Thank you. Until next time, we see each other.